in a classroom, in a nonprofit, K-12, and higher education. And in all of those years, today is one of my very favorites. So I'm really very happy that you have joined us here today. We've got a little bit of housekeeping to do. I want to mention to you that you're seeing the slides here. We've got live caption options and closed captioning options. If you'd like to be able to take advantage of those, follow the directions on your screen. I also want to let you know that in terms of who we are and what we're trying to accomplish today, as I mentioned, I'm Lena. I'm a proud co-founder of this coalition, and we're recording today's event. So if you're uncomfortable being on camera, feel free to find that part of your Zoom screen that allows you to turn your camera off. I want to tell you a little bit about the mission of the Civic Education Coalition. As you can see on the next slide, the Maryland Civic Education Coalition is committed to building an inclusive coalition that brings together students and educators, experts, activists, community members who are all committed to ensuring that Maryland students have access to meaningful, hands-on, and comprehensive civic education and meaningful service learning opportunities. Our work is made possible by our sponsors, the Civics Now Coalition, which is a national coalition of civic educators and partners. Also, MyLaw, which is based here in Maryland, that we are proud and very thankful that they are our fiscal sponsor, and Youth Service America, which has afforded us a grant to continue our work. Those aren't the only folks who have made today's summit possible and our work year-round possible. We have dozens of speakers and volunteers who are part of today's agenda. I can't, and I won't try to thank everyone here, but I do want to say a special thank you to my co-chair, who is Sam Novi, to our steering committee members, our coalition members, to Eve Case, who chairs our education working group, who had a big role in planning today's summit, as well as our Youth Advisory Council. And an extra special thank you to Julie Miller and Jeannie Massey, with whom this summit would not happen without them. So the goals of today's summit are very similar to the goals of our coalition. We want to build a big table that gets bigger and bigger, that welcomes all voices and experiences. We want to shine a spotlight on what's working in civic education and civic and engagement for young people. We want to have honest conversations about what's positive and also what we can do a little bit better together if we set our goals and work in community. The setup of our summit mirrors our goals. So you'll notice that this is not a webinar per se, if you've been on other Zoom webinars. This kind of space is, we've enabled the chat so everybody can talk to each other. Say hello to your friends in the chat if you would like to do that. In fact, if you could take a moment to introduce yourself in the chat, tell us your name, tell us your organization or school if you've got one, or if you're a community member, tell us that. If you'd like to include your pronouns, that would be wonderful. But we've enabled that chat and we've set up conversations throughout the day that center not just our 51 speakers and 13 additional volunteers, but the expertise that is in the room with all of you joining in conversation. So you'll be joining with students who are elementary, middle, and high school and college age, educators who are classroom teachers in their first year and in their 28th year, district level content and service learning coordinators, educators from the State Department of Education, researchers, scholars from higher education, civic partners, government officials, and members of our community. And like our coalition, this summit lineup features people and expertise from all across the state. We hope that you will turn on your camera when you're comfortable and join in the conversation. Without our community working together, democracy doesn't stand a chance. We have the opportunity to think carefully and to work hard together to ensure that all students have the knowledge, skills, and experiences to participate fully in their civic life. And I'm very, very thankful to everyone in this room for making that commitment and for being together with us in community today. Without further ado or commentary from me, I would like to introduce our very first speaker, a wonderful student whose name is Daniel Ross, and he is going to introduce our first speaker. Daniel is from Crofton High School.
I am delighted to introduce the Maryland Civic Education Coalition Educator of the Year, Ms. Erin Few. Ms. Few is an extraordinary teacher at Crofton High School in Anne Arundel County. She serves as the Social Studies Department Chair, has helped write curriculum for social studies courses, and has served as a judge for National History Day. She is known to be a remarkable teacher who ensures culturally responsive, student-centered, and rigorous instruction for all her students. Ms. Few clearly sees and lives the connection between service and civics. In addition to her regular social studies work, she advises the Crofton High School Service Club and serves as student service learning liaison with the district office leadership. I've witnessed what an incredible impact Ms. Few has on her students. I've seen her help my friends organize blood drives or cope with difficult circumstances. I personally benefited from her incomparable teaching, constructive guidance, and abundant understanding. Thank you, Ms. Few, for teaching us to be civically engaged, and thank you for everything you've done furthering the education of myself and others. Thank you.
Daniel, thank you so much. I'm overwhelmed. And thank you all for having me here today. I'm absolutely humbled to be a part of this exciting event and amazed at the work of this organization. I'd like to take a moment to share a bit about the actions we have been taking at Crofton High and in Anne Arundel County to engage our students in civic activism. And I hope that some of the lessons I've learned will be of value to all of you. First, I have to admit that I haven't always been committed to service as a vehicle for deep learning. It really took the distance of COVID to show me that content learning really hinges on peer-to-peer interaction. And now, when my colleagues ask me, how are we ever going to catch these kids up? My answer is civic engagement. It truly is the solution to our current educational struggles. Our students' emotional and mental health improves when they turn their attention to others and thinking about the needs of others. The polarizing social, economic, and ideological differences between our students are erased in the face of a common goal. And I've noticed that their self-esteem and self-efficacy increases when they realize they can be agents of real change in their communities. It's not just an extra thing to do. It's really, in my mind, the fix that we're all looking for. In 2020, it was my absolute privilege to watch a small group of committed students come together for the first time in months to paint an activity sidewalk outside of our local library. The project was inspired by a young lady who missed the connectivity of these public spaces. And I was immediately sold on the rich opportunity that community service offers our students to actively use what they've learned in our classes. And so my second lesson was that it's important to let your students lead the way. Activities and skills that I'd only dream my students would try in my classroom are displayed in action without a single complaint through service learning. For example, 3 of my students wrote a 500-word argumentative essay disguised as a grant proposal to purchase kindness books. Using basic geometry, students planned that symmetrical activity sidewalk, and others voluntarily accessed academic journals to research psychological disorders and produce a mental health campaign to end stigma. Our Best Buddies uses no-sew blankets as occupational therapy. And at Crofton, we now host a yearly culture fair in which students are the teachers. A great first step towards civic engagement is to ask kids, what can we do with this new information now? And I promise they will do it. When I ask this question, their answer always exhibits or grows their research skills, their argumentative writing, planning, organization, interpersonal communication, and content knowledge. Now, in Anne Arundel County, I am supported by a vast system of community partnerships that are cultivated by our service learning manager, Miss Laurie Fowler. And our community partners work with us to design activities that align to our curriculum. So my third takeaway is to connect to your community partners. Your students' families are a great place to start. If you're here because you represent a community organization, reach out to your local school. For example, one of my students asked her police officer mom to come and talk to our criminal justice classes, and that resulted in a letter writing campaign to advocate for better funding for a community policing unit that is unique to our county. On a separate occasion, a leader from Crofton Chamber of Commerce found my email on our school's website. So I recruited students in child development classes to plan and implement an Easter craft at a local Easter egg hunt in the community. The bottom line, civic engagement and service are vehicles to deep learning and the solution to educational burnout. It doesn't require extra work, just an open mind and willingness to be flexible. And I promise you, your students will amaze you each and every time. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much, Erin. We're so proud that you are our inaugural Teacher of the Year, and we're so appreciative of the partnership with the Maryland Council for the Social Studies that has made that award possible. And the next, we are ready for our next introducer, and the next introducer is, pardon me while I check my notes, and that is Theona. Would you please get ready to introduce us to our next speaker? Theona is from Oxon Hill High School.
Hi everyone, my name is Theona McCam, and today I'm going to be introducing our U.S. Congressman Glenn Ivey. I am pleased to introduce our next speaker, the Honorable Glenn Ivey. Congressman Ivey is an attorney who served on Capitol Hill as Chief Counsel to the Senate Majority Leader, as counsel to Senator Paul Sabarnes during the Whitewater investigations, Chief Majority Counsel to the Senate Banking Committee, and on the staff of Representative Conyers. He also worked for the U.S. Attorney Eric Holder as an Assistant U.S. Attorney and as the chair of Maryland's Public Service Commission. He was twice elected as state attorney for Prince George's Community County, where he created a first of its kind domestic violence prosecution unit and pushed for stronger witness intimidation penalties. To learn more about Congressman Ivey, I invite you to visit the speaker bio page of the Collision's website. Please join me in welcoming Congressman Ivey.
Hi, I'm Congressman Glenn Ivey. Thanks to Dr. Kimberly Griffith, Professor and Dean of the College of Education, for inviting me to the Summit on Civic Education at the University of Maryland. I wish I could be there in person, but congressional travel has me visiting the border of Mexico for the Committee on Homeland Security. Thanks also to Theona Megan McCam from Oxon Hill High School in the heart of the 4th Congressional District for introducing me. This is a historic time for our nation and the world. We need your energy, ideas, and leadership to move us forward in the face of climate change, attacks on democracy, international conflict, and the fight against injustice. I know you're up to the challenge. Thank you for answering the call on so many fronts. On social and racial injustice, the Black Lives Matter movement, sparked further by the murder of George Floyd, has been front and center in criminal justice reform and civil rights protections. On LGBTQ issues, your generation is creating a world where we can love whoever we want to love. On immigration, your generation of dreamers has transformed America's long-running immigration debate. On combating gun violence, the student-led movement born out of the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School shooting in Parkland has brought the first gun violence reduction legislation in 30 years and a 25-year-old congressman, Max Frost from Florida. By coming to this Civic Education Summit, you're sharpening your skills and showing true leadership in your community. By dialoguing and networking with your elected officials, education leaders, and other students, parents, and civic-minded people, you keep our democracy vibrant. So keep up the good work and have a great conference. I can't wait to see what each of you will do to change the world.
Thank you, Congressman. We are so appreciative of you being a part of this. And we look forward to your leadership moving forward. And now we'd love to hear from Kinsley Potts, who's a student at Maryvale Preparatory School, and she's going to introduce our next speaker. Kinsley.
Thank you. I am so excited to introduce Senator Shelley Heddleman. Senator Heddleman currently serves as the senator for the 11th District of Maryland, where she is a member of the Budget and Taxation Committee, having previously served on the Judicial Proceedings Committee. She is vice chair of the Rules Committee and also serves on the Joint Audit Committee, as well as the Joint Committee on Children, Youth and Families, and the Joint Committee on the Chesapeake, Atlantic Coastal Bay's critical area. Senator Heddleman has sponsored bills that address important issues, such as ensuring access to counsels for renters facing eviction, protecting privacy and access for reproductive health, transparency for student loans, and protecting older adults and children from abuse. To learn more about Senator Heddleman's illustrious career, please visit the speaker page of the website. Please join me in welcoming Senator Shelley Heddleman.
Thank you so much, Kinsley. I really appreciate being here. And thank you so much to Lena Moriali Scott, who, fun fact, I've known for many, many years because we recently reconnected and we went to the same college together many moons ago. So I'm very thrilled and honored to be participating today. And what a lovely introduction from Kinsley. And so thank you. I serve in the Maryland State Senate, as Kinsley said, and prior to that, I served in the Maryland House of Delegates. And back in 2016, I introduced a bill called Maryland Corps. And along with the now Senate President, Bill Ferguson, who was my Senate crossfile, we created a program about service. And the idea was to support young people after they graduated from high school to be able to spend a year giving back to their community by working either with a nonprofit organization or a government entity, and to be able to earn a stipend and to earn a college scholarship. And back in 2016, a person by the name of Wes Moore, who now is our governor, supported that legislation. And unfortunately, it took those many years back from 2016 to now to actually bring the program to fruition and to have the imprint of Governor Moore to be able to make the program a reality and to provide it the funding that it so badly needs to actually be implemented. So I'm very thrilled to be here with you today and to have worked with the governor and his staff, and thrilled that he has appointed Paul Montero to be the brand new secretary of a brand new department too, which is very, very exciting. A department on civic engagement and service. And this new department, it's called the Department of Service and Civic Initiatives. And it's going to create pathways for young adults and people recently out of school to give back to the community. And they will be able to take a year, or roughly a year, and get professional development and mentoring and job training and financial literacy skills and other supports. And they'll be able to help meet our state's greatest challenges and by giving back through public service. It will also be strengthening a pipeline of talent into state and local governments to help us with our future and present staffing needs. The target is that there'll be 200 participants in the first year and 2,000 participants by year 4. There will be a young adult pathway. Those people will work 30 hours a week. They will be able to earn at least the minimum wage, and they will address priorities in the state and local issues such as climate, education, and health. And those soon, in the next couple of months, that kind of program will be promoted to high schools, community organizations, nonprofits, and faith-based institutions. And then they will also be recruiting potential placements, employers. And another option will be the Maryland Service Year option pathway. It's very similar to the young adult pathway, and also has the goal of professional development, mentoring, job training, etc. Part of what we have seen, unfortunately, even in the last few days, is how the fabric of our society is being torn apart. We are at the point, unfortunately, where someone is being shot for knocking on a stranger's door by mistake, or opening a car door mistakenly. And we need to rebuild those threads that bring us together. And we need to be able to appreciate our differences, to be able to work together with a shared vision of how to rebuild those threads in our community. And I firmly believe, and I'm supportive, incredibly supportive of this governor's efforts and our new service year program and I'm confident that we will be able to rebuild those threads by giving back to the community, by giving back to our organizations, to state and local government, to good causes, and by building those ties again with one another and our communities. And I just applaud you for everything you're committed to through this program and through this afternoon, and just can't wait to see the fabulous things that you're going to go off and do in the community. So thanks so much for having me today, and I really appreciate all of your work.
Thank you so much, Senator Hettleman. It's wonderful to see you again. And thank you for your contributions to today's conversation. Andrew Wilkes, a member of our steering committee. Are you ready to introduce Alice Johnson-Kane?
Good afternoon, everyone. It's my distinct joy to introduce the Honorable Alice Johnson-Kane, who comes to us as the Executive Director of the Mariah Fund, a pillar in Maryland's philanthropic and civic sector. Alice also comes to us as a former Maryland state legislator, where she served on the Ways and Means Committee and the Education Subcommittee. She brings over 30 years of experience in the policy community, also as a thought leader and a former teacher. And so without further ado and with profound anticipation, I present to you, Alice.
Thank you, Andrew. Can you all see me? Great. Thank you so much, Andrew, for the gracious introduction. And thank you all for being here today for this amazing event. I'm truly honored to be part of it. Preparing students to be engaged in our democracy is a founding purpose for our public schools. And as all the speakers so far have said, civic education, civic engagement, and service are essential for our democracy. I'm thrilled that Governor Moore understands this and has already acted on it, as Senator Hettleman said, and helped lead the way here in Maryland. I'm also grateful to the Maryland Civic Education Coalition for their leadership. And I hope the work that all of us involved with this summit are doing collectively can truly be transformational for Maryland and also a model for the rest of the country. So no pressure. I don't have to tell you, civic engagement is an urgent priority. We see new examples every day of democratic ideals and institutions under attack as threats of authoritarianism and extremism grow. Two looming Supreme Court cases could exacerbate these threats. Merrill versus Mulligan could gut the part of the Voting Rights Act that provides legal protections against racial discrimination in voting for historically disenfranchised Americans. And Moore versus Harper could prevent state courts from overturning gerrymandered maps and actually allow state legislatures to undermine and even ignore the will of the voters. So we have some serious threats on the horizon, and there has never been a more important time to strengthen the infrastructure for civic engagement, particularly among Gen Z. This is a top priority for the foundation I run, the Mariah Fund, and I will briefly share about 3 initiatives we support that give me hope. One is the College Motor Voter Coalition, which played an instrumental role in securing guidance from the Department of Education that says federal work-study funds can be used for nonpartisan voter registration, voter education, and voter participation activities. That's over $1 billion a year. That goes to over 800,000 college students. And I think there is a huge opportunity there for students in Maryland and across the country. I also would urge you to take a look at Civics Unplugged, which is working with 3,000 high school students across the country, including 110 here in Maryland. I see my time is wrapping up, so I will just say one final note. Long time ago, I had the privilege of helping create the federal AmeriCorps legislation, particularly literacy AmeriCorps. And years later, I went to an event, it was a packed room full of people who had both been the recipients of the service learning, as well as the people who had provided the service, right? And what I heard that day has really stayed with me, because to a person, what they said was it didn't just change their communities, and it didn't just help address the causes that they cared about it, but it changed them, both those doing the service and those being served. It changed them for the better, and it changed them forever. So that's what you're doing. That's what we're doing. And from the bottom of my heart, I just say thank you.
Well, thank you, Alice. We really appreciate you being with us today. Julie Miller is a PhD student here at the College of Education at the University of Maryland. I appreciate you. Julie, do you want to introduce our next speaker?
Sure. I'm so pleased to introduce our musical guest, Caden Goodrich, also known as Alex 17. Caden is a student at Glenbury High School, and I had the pleasure of hearing him perform at the Anne Arundel County Avid Leadership Conference, and just knew we needed to have him here today. So I'm so excited he agreed to share his immense talent with all of us. And if you could please join me in welcoming Caden Goodrich.
Hello, what's up, everybody? Oh, today I'll be rapping for you. All right, get ready, guys. It's gonna be good.
You have to learn to perform without motivation. You have to learn to perform without purpose. And that's what people think. They think I need to have this motivation to work out, to study, to be better. So if they don't have it, they just don't do it. And that's where you fail.
Rap is called Civics for All. That study's amazing. You're doing good, it's time to make changes. We live in a neighborhood, make it less dangerous. For all different ages, collaboration, yeah, we work with our neighbors. Yeah, we do it, man. Civics for all. Civics for all. Yeah, we standing tall. Yeah, we gon' ball. Civics for all. Civics for all. Yeah, we standing tall. Yeah, we gon' ball. Community is important. If there's a problem, you can't ignore it. We must always stay together like Power Rangers Mighty Morphin. So first you find an issue or something that is strange. Make a plan, then we take an action. That's how we make change. You can vote, you can volunteer, you can join a group. It's the truth. You can work inside a kitchen serving soup. Just remember to stay vocal, because these problems, they are social. If you want to take it global, then we have to start it local. There is power in the people, and the people, they need leadership. We're striving for peacefulness. I know we are achieving this. Clear out all the evilness. There's no need to be devious. When we stand together, then there really ain't no beating this. So it's amazing. You're doing good deeds, and I swear it's contagious. It's time to make changes. We live in a neighborhood, make it less dangerous. For all different ages, collaboration, yeah, we work with our neighbors. Yeah, we do it, man. Civics for all. Civics for all. Yeah, we standing tall. And we gon' ball. Civics for all. Civics for all. Yeah, we standing tall. And we gon' ball. Yeah, we need to focus on the bigger picture and stand tall together. You can help in any weather. Service to make you better. Get the message like a letter. Strive to be a trendsetter. This is for the go-getters. I could live this way forever. raise money for a certain cause, or you can raise awareness if we need to change the laws. If you need someone to help you, then just make a couple calls. When it comes to breaking barriers, be tearing down the walls. If we can lend a helping hand, be encouraging, just begin. Go and join the group and be the president. We can win, always represent. Work hard with your friends, be patient, and I swear that it'll pay off in the end. Hey, I said it's amazing. Doing good deeds and I swear it's contagious. It's time to make changes. We live in a neighborhood making less dangerous for all different ages. Collaboration, yeah, we work with our neighbors. Yeah, we do it big. Civics for all. Civics for all. Yeah, we stand tall. And we gon' ball. Civics for all. Civics for all. Yeah, we stand tall. And we gon' ball. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Caden. You are awesome. Thank you for the motivation. Really appreciate it.
Of course, you know, civic engagement is very important, you know, community is very, very important. So I had to do this. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
you. Great job.
Jeannie's going to tell us a little bit about what comes next in our program. And I want to, before Jeannie takes over, I just want to say thank you to everyone who was a part of this opening session. I think we've set a great musical tone and positive tone for the rest of the day.
Thanks, Lena, and thanks to all of our speakers, Caden. That was fabulous. We have some wonderful topics to discuss today, and Lena meant it when she invited all of you to participate in discussions, and that's why we are inconveniencing you a little bit by asking you to leave this Zoom room and go to a different Zoom room to join in the roundtable discussions. And the easiest way to do that, if you have your email open that got you here today, the email has all of the links. And to remind you, we are civically minded and lift up children's voices, students' voices, and do the best that we can to be patient and enjoy everybody's point of view. And so how do you find your roundtable conversation? There's a link in the chat, or you can find the email that you used to get here today. But just in case you get lost, you can go to our mdcivics.org website. And from that website, you'll see in the program, I've added all of those links. So all of those links are now in where am I? I'm in membership. Under the summit, under summit program. If you get lost at any point today, there are links that you can use to join. So you just click on here and it says click to join if you want to go to Civics for All Ages, or you can go to Civic Seals by opening that one, and there's a description and all of the participant names. So stick around if you have any questions. Otherwise, move on over and join one of the conversations. If anybody has any questions, feel free to unmute and ask. We're glad to have everybody here.